Hi everyone, it's me again. um, well, the reason I'm with you again is I was doing my one thing a day that I don't want to do, and I was clearing up the remainder of the vintage bags that I own. They were on the floor. Full disclosure, they were on the floor and they needed to not be on the floor. Everything else that I've shared with you, a lot of the kind of higher end brand stuff, is in pillowcases, like I said I would do, and on my shelf. This stuff is just more kind of fashion, um, yeah, like more just fashionista pieces, I guess, but still quality leather pieces. And I thought, you know what? Just pick them up, finish what you started with your little vintage project, and put them away. So that's what I'm doing. So I thought I would, before I close down for the year, I thought I would finish this little project. So um, there's a few. So I'll try to keep the stories and the tangents down to a minimum. Now, before we get started with the new stuff, like this is a new piece. One of the first, I think it was the first episode or second episode of this little vintage bag, my own personal vintage bag collection, I talked to you about Jane Shilton and how I really love Jane Shilton. She's a it's a British manufacturing company. She's not necessarily the designer per se, she is the namesake. Her employer in the beginning and then turned into her husband along the way. I think it was in the 1930s, the Shilton manufacturing company started. Um, I just was talking about Jane Shilton, and that very day, where is it? This came into my life when I went thrifting. And it is Jane Shilton. And I've been meaning to tell you about it forever. And a little wristlet. So this, is it real skin? It feels like it's real reptile. It really does. And then this real caramelly. So that's just another one that I will be adding to my Jane Shilton collection that I've already shared with you. So just, I thought it was kind of fun. So I've got a couple of little 50s, 60s pieces that I don't know the brands of them, but I just love it. This little piece. So it's got a little zipper here that's probably a little lipstick holder, because let's face it, 50s, it was 60 years ago. It's all raw leather inside. Have I ever carried this? I haven't, but I will do. I will do. It fits my phone, so that's I could just see my granny holding this. I really could. I could really see my grandma with this. So that's number one. Number two, I love, and I've used it many, many times. It's like a tooled silver. I mean, there's lots of little areas of wear on it. But this is the part. Look at this. It's got two zippers and they zipper diagonally. Oh, actually, no, they don't. They zipper straight, but when you open it up, so that's it closed. And there's a little bit of something there, but you open it up. And he's got those little vintage little zipper pulls. Come on, you little sucker. And it opens up that way, and it's all leather inside. I've used this quite a few times when I go down to the little pub around the corner. I'll put my phone in one side and my debit card and a lipstick on the other side. I love this. I have used it, little bits of, but oh, it's so unique. So that's probably 60s, I would say, as well. So those have no branding, no nothing. So the next one I want to talk about is a real 80s piece. The very geometric shape. Isn't this funky, funky, funky? So this is by Aldo. And again, back when Aldo sold leather. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, it probably is a 90s piece because the 80s labels are multicolored. That is probably a 90s. It's got a zippered pocket on the outside. But isn't that cool? I've used it. I've used it a few times. It's just such a little conversation piece. So that's another one of my vintage pieces. This one, I don't really know anything about it. I mean, it's a Chanel knockoff. It's not supposed to be Chanel. It's Christian mode Italy. So, I don't know. Christian mode Italy. It's all leather inside. It feels beautiful. There's some little areas of wear on the top here. The strap is in really rough shape. The leather lacing, it's not even leather. It's all little bits. Everywhere I go, which is kind of crazy because even this little piece is leather. But I just love it. It's got a zipper compartment on the back. I just think it's really classy. And if I'm faking it until I'm making it, you know what? After recently watching one of Beto's deconstructions of a 25-year-old Chanel bag, that all of the structural pieces were cardboard underneath the leather, am I having palpitations in my heart to go and get a Chanel bag? I didn't really anyway. Louis Vuitton's my brand. But no, I'll take a vintage almost any day. The attitude I now have after witnessing some of the construction of these brand names that we're all, salivating over for hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them. No, thank you. I'll take the vintage pieces. And, I mean, the Coach pieces. And I was watching Vintage Coach Collector yesterday, and she was going over some of her Bali bags. Who knew that they were so beautiful and so well constructed? No, for me, it's the uniqueness. And I like this one. Now, I love Liz Claiborne. And I particularly love this bag of Liz Claiborne's. This bag was featured in the early 90s movie Working Girl with Melanie Griffiths and Sigourney Weaver. So I think I've mentioned it before. The bag was the bag she used when she was pretending to be her executive boss. And she had her, little file of facts in the back pocket here. And this one, they usually date stamp them. Oh, this one isn't. Oh, that's unusual. Oh, 1984. Yeah, no, it is date stamped. 1984. Made in Korea, but just when I didn't realize that, I never knew the strap comes off. Wow, so you could actually make it into a clutch if you wanted to. I love Liz Claiborne. I don't know what it is. I mean, this is just kind of the vinyl embossed carcass. But I mean, let's face it, the initialed Louis Vuitton isn't leather. It's just a coated fabric. And if I wasn't 100% sure of that before, I certainly am now after watching Beto's. But her story is really unique. And I do have some notes, and I'm trying not to look at them, but I want to be accurate. She is Belgian, and she started her Liz Claiborne brand in 1976 in Manhattan. And the reason she started it was because she was sick of the company she was working for going out of business. So she thought, screw this, I'm going to make my own. She was a fashion student. I believe, yeah, she was a fashion design student. And she created her own brand. 1986, she was the first woman-owned business to be a Fortune 500 company. Pretty cool, huh? Now, I watch Gary Vaynerchuk as well. I really like, when I need a kick in the ass, I watch him. He's a little bit too rah-rah for me at times, but, some of his messages are very current and very valid. But he was recently talking to a panel of businesses, and they were talking about the Fortune 5,000. When did it go? Well, I guess we're in the 21st century now, so Fortune 500 isn't good enough. It's Fortune 5,000. So she did, I don't know if she sold it. I'm not sure of the lineage, but in 2012, it went to another, like a holding company. It was called Fifth Pacific Inc. So she moved over to there, and that company focused on 3 brands, and they were Juicy Couture, Kate Spade, and Lucky Brand. Now, as of 2014, they turned into Kate Spade and Company, and that was the only brand that they focused on. Now, I do believe, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think one of the sporting, it's not Nike, it's one of them owns Kate Spade now. A lot of these companies are diversifying their portfolios, and they know how lucrative, luxury designer brands are. Not that Kate Spade is a luxury. I mean, it's a mall brand, but it's a higher end mall brand, and very on trend. Now, I shared with you that I saw this exact bag in Kate Spade. It was all color blocked, so this was purple and orange and pink, whatever. But it was essentially the same bag, which makes sense. It was owned by the same parent company. All these, like this year, what's the trend? Bucket bags are a big trend for this coming spring, summer. The little mini, micro bags, big trend for this spring, summer. That actually has followed through from last year. Wicker, rattan, jute, a lot of those bags are big trends. Very structured bags, somewhat like this, and hard shell bags. I did a little spiel on Mark Cross, and that's an American company, and they actually do the Cross Box, I think it's called, and what's her face, singer. Her name completely escapes me. Anyway, she's trying to bring it back. So that is it. It's all cyclical. It's all cyclical, and it all comes back. But the one thing that's really weird for this coming season is water bottle holders, and not the plastic water bottle. I'm talking about, those metal structured, water bottles. And yeah, you see, Louis Vuitton's got one, Chanel's got one, Celine's got one, and I mean, they're leather and beautiful and whatever, but I mean, that's what. And then the other one, what really freaked me out was a bag on a bag. So you would have a bag that would have maybe like a larger bag with 2 or 3 smaller bags clipped onto it. I guess they're maybe running out of ideas or something. Taylor Swift, that's it. That's who Mark Cross has kind of been designing for lately. Lastly, this is a bag that was given to me when I used to do my pop-up shops in retirement homes. And I had a lady's daughter who was there and saw me, and we got chatting, and I told her that my real passion was vintage. So she took me upstairs to her mom and dad's suite, I think her mom had passed and it was just her dad that was still there. And they were clearing out her mom's stuff. And she wanted me to have this. And then there was another one that was a naturalizer and it had the shoes. It was like a wedding set. But this one I just love. It's that color. This color gets me every time. It is reptile on the front. And it's got this really neat bar that opens it up. It's Canadian made. It's Corette, Montreal, Canada. And it's all that 60s, 50s, 60s kind of brushed velvet inside. Little zipper pocket. It does have a detachable strap if I wanted to take it off. But look how unique that is. I tell you, I love these things, the uniqueness. I'm doing a little bit of a self hosted business course, and it's meant for fitness sales. If you saw my Stare video yesterday, I was sharing with you that I used to sell fitness memberships for many, many, many years. And part of that, there's a lot of training, a lot of gurus that think they know how to do it better than the other person. And I was given a binder, got to be this thick. Here it is. And I never, ever looked at it. But I thought, you know what? We're on lockdown. I got nothing else to do. Could I mix some of those techniques in with how I'm working now? And the whole first part of this book is why people buy and the emotional reasons why people buy. And I'm a shopper. I'm always going to be a shopper. That's never going to change. So I have adapted my shopping so that it doesn't get me in trouble. I started to buy, I thrifted things, and it's morphed into this incredible appreciation for unique style and quality. And that to me is where this whole vintage thing is going to go and continue to go. I mean, the aesthetic of vintage is one thing, but the quality is probably a little bit of an unsung hero. And I know that moving forward, I definitely will be screaming a lot louder about the quality of vintage and just what it says about you and what it says about your personality. I mean, whether you like it or not. And I mean, those of us who aren't shoppers probably scratch their heads and wonder, why we need 10 bags, 15 bags, 20 bags. But we do. So rather than go to bed feeling like shit about it every night, figure out a way that you can do it so it doesn't sting. And if it's something, we've all got our thing. You're either fishing or, God forbid, gambling or booze or, shoes or jewelry, or we've all got something. Tools, cars. Oh God, I'd be so a car person if I won the lottery. So this is a small little thing that we as women, and I've met some men who love bags too. My ex-husband, huge jacket fiend. Holy moly. And it's what we do. So why not? Especially with today being what it is, and we're coming into a new year tomorrow. And let's try and be a little kinder to ourselves. Let's not shit on ourselves quite so much. There's things that we should be doing that we're not doing. And instead of just not addressing it at all, like I do when I, share with you to go do something you don't want to do, break it up into little tasks, do one little piece every day. By the end of the week, it's done and you will feel like $1,000,000. Anyway, that's enough for me. Have a lovely, lovely rest of the day. Fabulous New Year. Be safe. And I will talk to you next year. Bye, everybody.